almost ready, right? 12:05. All right, so let's begin our journey. Day 3. Good morning, good afternoon, evening. It depends where you are, right?
Afternoon, yeah.
Right. Okay, so first, let's hear you about your homework. Anybody wants to share about the news, whether you didn't watch the news or recognize the news about, or the really news, the facts versus entertainment? Anybody wants to share that?
Yeah, I will, Jerzy. I really liked your comment yesterday about entertainment versus news. I hadn't really thought about it, but once you said it, it was very, very compelling. And you're right that everything has moved very heavily to entertainment, and the thoughts of actually getting the news takes about 5 minutes a day, and you can get all of the actual news when you do that. Now, I still like my entertainment of reading my newspapers. I don't watch my stuff, but I have moved that rather than in the morning when the newspaper comes. I do that. I did that today at 2 o'clock in the afternoon when I was feeling a little down, and I could have my my cup of tea, and I just needed a little bit of downtime. I spent my half an hour going through my 2 newspapers, but with the realization that I was using it as a break and just more of an entertainment thing than anything else. And so I thought that was very helpful.
It was amazing, actually, probably to look at the newspaper with that perspective of where is entertainment and where are the facts, right?
Yeah, I mean, you would, in fact, so I get the Wall Street Journal every day, and they always have on the front page that left-hand column, and you can read about 20 items in that left-hand column in literally 5 minutes, and that gives you the highlights of all of the stuff that's going on, and you can quickly look at it and go, well, what do I care about, and what's, just kind of nice things to have. But it was, again, just thinking about it in the term that, no, I'm doing entertainment right now. That's okay. as I said, it's 2 o'clock. I got a little bit of a lunch downer, and to just sit there and give myself the half an hour break was quite good.
Yeah, that's fantastic. When you know that you are treating yourself with entertainment, that is really a great thing, because then you also know when you need facts and you don't need entertainment. So if you have 30 minutes entertainment a day, that's fantastic. You relax a little bit and you are entertained, and that's how it's supposed to work. But if you don't know that you are, entertaining yourself, but you're expecting some results, then you get stuck with lots of entertainment and no facts and no really progress.
This falls into the category where you talked about having us be intentional, present, and aware.
Yes, exactly. So, when you have mindfulness, let's say if you're mindful about where you are, then you understand all this, and if you need entertainment, then you reach for it. But at the same time, when work is done and whatever needs to be done, facts are there applied, and then you do the hard choices, and then you treat yourself maybe with entertainment a little bit. But it's entertainment, so you just relax and you don't take it seriously. Because entertainment you shouldn't take seriously. It's just entertainment, right? So it doesn't have anything to do with anything. To just okay, you're having fun. That's all.
I have a question about editorials or opinion pieces that where do those things fall in terms of providing us with food for thought, so that it's somebody's opinion, and does that lead you to finding out more facts, or where does that fall in your profile?
Well, opinion has to be, really somebody that knows about that, and that opinion still is an opinion, right? It's not really the fact. So with Noam Chomsky is talking, I pay attention, right? Because I know when he talks, it's depth there, and there is something to listen to, right? So he is the voice that links into meanings and core of our values and how to live life. That's the voice is coming from. But when the voice is coming from just opinion about American Airlines, even though somebody that knows something about that opinion doesn't really go anywhere, right? Because that is just the opinion about not reality really at stake. It has to be really something at stake there, to stick, and for the opinion to have any kind of a value. It has to be some kind of a value attached to that, and it has to be something that contributes to our way of thinking, that we start thinking and adds to our understanding of the world, or our questioning of virtues, integrity, or something. It has to do something to us.
Well, and I think by looking at it that way as entertainment or what, I mean, you can quickly, in most editorials or opinion pieces, if the guy comes out with a lot of hyperbole and things that are just more open thoughts and not necessarily backed up with data, you can kind of discount that opinion pretty quickly and not spend a lot of time on it.
Also, there is something that the facts and the physical thing has to be somehow seen, because without that, where are we? We are just in the world of talk. So we have to face something in the world, right? Like in the movie, the first movie, the man is facing a woman that has extreme integrity. It's the physical thing that he wants. That physical thing creates a lot of responses that ask for him to become a better man. And because of this physical, he has to become, but the physical is presented. So imagine that we talk about integrity, but without really the woman presented there. We can be completely very fast lost that we really know what we are talking about, that we know what is the integrity without even having integrity, right? And we'll be talking about that forever. But if you create the situation in the world that is physical, and that integrity is there presented because she is the metaphor for it, and she is physical. So the second movie, Shattered Glass, right? You have the person that is presented with also integrity, facts in journalism. These are the facts, right? And then he is faced with those facts. And now he responds to these facts the other way. Actually gets worse because of the exposure to the facts. But the physical is really necessary to really be challenged physically and expose ourselves how we are, what is our choice here. Is the hard choice or easy choice? Of course, in the first movie, he picked up the hard choice and made it to the end with integrity. The second movie, he lost the hard choice. He picked up the easy choice, and his life ended the hard way. So, but it's in both, you have the physical element, and in these opinions, when the opinions are there without this physical element, then we can pretend a lot in the world. You can talk forever, and we don't have the physical. That's why Stoicism is so difficult to grasp, because Stoics, its philosophy is really hard to really grasp it without really the physical. So that's why Stoics taught mimicking. That's why the Stoa was there. That's why they were there, and they were teaching how to be the physical way, how to be themselves. They taught that. So they projected that physicality on others, the way of thinking, the way of moving, the way of believing, the way of feeling, and so on, everything. And that was the way to become Stoic. But you can really, talk about Stoicism, know a lot about Stoicism, and never be a Stoic. And you can talk and you can make your PhD in Stoicism, and you will never be a Stoic. So you can have, lots of opinions, a lot of things, and they can go nowhere really. They could just brush through, certain knowledge that's completely useless. So transparency now, in the real world, you have the happy body, let's say, right? That is transparency. And transparency is that the happy body presents also very difficult, challenge, that when you engage it, you will be challenged, and then you will show yourself. I mean, you will pick up the hard choices or easy choices, but you are presented with the challenge, which is transparent, which is there, and the way you actually will respond to it, the way you show up yourself in the world. Like it was the joke about the orange. When you squeeze the orange, what comes out? Right? Usually people say juice, but it is what's inside. And that the way that, looking into the, how we respond to the physical shows up really with how real we are, in what way. Without the physical, we are, everywhere. I mean, it's nowhere. It has to be something physical. Somebody has to deal with something. And in the next movie, Amazing Grace, very clear physical, right? Slavery. And, get rid of it. Physical. Yeah. Another physical thing that, that the person is dealing with. So you need to really somehow look into what we are really talking about. Is it we are talking about, and then there is no physical nature of something? So we are completely in the pure entertainment. You have to find the physical. Where is it? If there's no physical, then there is no transparency of something. It's really hard to deal with it. Of course, for a poet, there will be poems written, right? So they become physical, and that physical becomes, the challenge, becomes the quality of the poem, becomes the challenge, and improvement of that quality over the period of life. Physical. I hope that worked. Help.
I want to suggest, it's funny, I just got done reading a book called Skin in the Game, and it made the same kind of comments talking about PhDs, about journalists, etc., that in many cases, academics, etc., they write a lot of things, but they've never had to do anything physical, anything real. There's no downside to what they've written. So it might even be upside to their career just by publishing, but because there's no downside in they won't lose their job, they've never done it, physically, they haven't shown that there's skin in the game, and so therefore their opinion is of significantly less value.
Well, it has to somehow apply, right, to the real world that we live in. And this application is important, whether it applies to the business, it applies to our way of living, it applies to sports. It has to apply somewhere. So all these books written, they have purpose. They usually have purpose of education, and the one that writes a book about something, let's say, publishes that book, and the book becomes physical. For him, becomes, or for her, becomes physical. That's the challenge. But the situation is when, the worst situation is when we really talk, but there's nothing physical behind. We're not talking about doing something, like Mount Everest is Mount Everest, and people go and walk that Mount Everest and to the top, and that's physical, and that challenges right away everything what we are, and shows how we are and whether we pick that up. But to become, to achieve something, you have to be on a journey, the physical journey. As a musician, you are on a physical journey. As a painter, you're on a physical journey. The physical really decides about what's happening in you. And that physical changes because how you change throughout your life and career. Business, the same story. It's all physical. So for people, has to be physical. And the physical, that has component of becoming better over time. Progress has to be there. If there is no progress, there is just entertainment. And you can be caught on entertainment. When you go to a gym today, let's say, you meet a trainer, and usually that trainer is entertainer. There is no transparency in the work, and what is really there, always variety. If you have variety that you don't know where the transparency is, and you don't know where the craft is, you don't know where the plans are, you don't know all of it, right? So you don't have any kind of independence built up on the future and progress. You cannot measure it, you cannot see it, there is no transparency of it. So you have to really look to the transparency every time when you want to do something. Transparency is very, very important. And transparency is facts, right? In the shattered glass, transparency was facts. That was journalism. And journalism is about facts. And if you lose facts, you become entertainment. You become everything what is the amusing, others through your stories. You are in fiction. You cannot be taken seriously if you are in fiction, right? You're just fiction. It's okay for a novel to write a novel for the one, and for people who read can have some kind of entertainment, leisure, when they sit around the pool and read a novel or at home. So it's kind of entertainment and gets from one book to another book, another. We don't expect to grow and to change at all. And that's what novels are. But that doesn't happen with the same with poetry. It doesn't happen the same with classical music or, some painters that they have depth and they have the feeling that they are passed on us, a very strong feeling that moves us and creates that different perspective. We are not the same people when we are exposed to something that is so powerful. So what happened in Amazing Grace? He had a situation, he didn't know how to make these people feel, because they had to feel what it meant to be on a ship that had slaves. So he created the situation. He brought these people to the place where there was the smell of death, smell of that ship, Madagascar. They remember Madagascar, remember that smell. That brought these people to feeling that it is really wrong. Because otherwise it would be idea, right? You know, they all had ideas about slavery is not a really good thing and so on, everybody knows, but really nobody really felt so strongly like that when that one was exposed to that ship. And once they got the smell, probably many of them could never, you know, forget that. Like that person in the movie that was on the ship, all right, turn around. And we see in the movie other people stepping to the other side. And how it is created through constant delivery of knowledge and feelings and beliefs. And slowly, one after another one cannot stand the feeling, that feeling that delivers that something is wrong. And once that feeling is delivered, the person cannot live the lie anymore, cannot live the, you know, whatever convenience is anymore, stands on the other side. Even though the one, you remember in Senate, stood up and signed, and others, traitor, 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 right? It is how hard it is, the hard choice to do what's right, what is good. It's really hard sometimes to do what is good, what is right. And we constantly fight for it, fight for that in every time zone of our life. People fought for that 2,000 years ago. People fight for, fought for 1,000 years ago. People fight today. No difference. It's just different metaphor. It's more subtle. But today, there are people that fight for the same change. And they risk their lives doing that. Not different than in 1800. And not different when Socrates was doing in 2,500 years ago. The same people, the same situation, and the same risk. And the same impossibility for goodness. So there is I have for you the question for the next time. I prepared your question. Why do we have to fight for something that is good for majority of people to the point that we almost lose our life? That's your question. For tomorrow to answer. So you see the slowly the journey that we are going through from exposing, making something familiar for you that is bringing you closer to feeling about the world today and how that world is and where is the fight and where is entertainment, where is something to do, and where is need for people to stand up. You see that the movie, the Amazing Grace, starts with the horse that is beat up by a man, right? So Wilberforce stops, comes out, it's rainy day. It shows how hard it is, the conditions. The horse is beat up, is exhausted, cannot stand up. And it shows the man, strong, powerful man, tall, big, beats up that horse. And Wilberforce comes to him, talks to him, and he looks down at him. You see, in the movie, everything is a detail. Every detail counts. Every detail is passing message on us. The message is very clear. We're living in the world that a man, powerful man, can beat the horse to death. That's how the movie is open, with that message. And also, if Wilberforce was not the one that was recognized by the other man, would be probably beat up too. That is the world that we are opening the movie to. Message is powerful, strong. Amazing movie. All right, so let's move on. Is there anybody that would like to say how is the virtue the hard choices is alive, and finish the sentence? It was I think, right?
What did you just ask, Jersey?
You know what the homework was, to finish the sentence with I think about hard choices,
Yes, okay, gotcha.
all right? Anybody wants to share?
I'll share.
Okay, ready, all right.
Okay, let me get the window open. Hard choices, easy life. What I think. I think hard choices are hard for many reasons. They take time. They are inconvenient. They are not glamorous. They are not always fun. They aren't entertaining for myself or others. They are not valued by everybody. They are uncomfortable in the short term, and our bodies and stomachs and moods will rile up against them. They are small decisions, just like easy choices, but have better outcomes. Hard choices have fewer and fewer opponents within and outside of yourself once they are accepted. Hard choices are your best friend, your parent, your child, your pet, and plants. They need attention every day because we live every day. We never take a day off of life.
That's amazing. Wow.
Well, there's more, but I'm not going to read it.
You spent some time.
Yeah.
All right, so when you think about hard choices and the happy body, what would you say?
Well, if you do it every day, it's going to get easier every time you do it. But at first your mind is going to come up with excuses not to do it, and your body is going to come up with all kinds of aches and pains or just being tired. But already, every day it's like 100% easier than the day before. And it's 100% more calming, and it's 100% more exciting to see your body change or stretch or get stronger. So that's just the physical part. The food part is, like you say, all about transparency. Watching how I react after, when I'm a half an hour away from eating. It's so much easier when you just say, it's okay, Amy. You just have to distract yourself for 30 minutes, do something you enjoy, or clean the toilet or whatever. And before you know it, it'll be time to eat. And that food will taste so good. So it makes the meal more enjoyable to delay the.
Right. So there was a question that I posted. How would you compromise the integrity of the happy body?
You want me to answer, or you want somebody else to answer?
Yeah, you're gonna say if you want.
Oh, I compromise it frequently.
All right. Okay.
Like my snack yesterday was supposed to be 100 calories. And I was like, oh, that was so good. I should just do 200. And then I just kept eating and zoning out and going, okay, no, now we're at 300. So I guess I've eaten all my snacks in one sitting. So yeah, stuff like that.
All right. So now tell me what happens.
Well, then
when we do that, right? You know, like you know you're doing wrong, right?
Yeah.
You keep doing it. Were you tired or?
Yeah, all of a sudden I lost my sense of pride over the good work I had done earlier where I wasn't compromising it. And yeah, it's like one step forward and two steps back. And I can't really build the pride in myself if I constantly sabotage.
Well, you know, then you have to return to the present moment, right?
Yeah.
And you have to really recharge your battery, because you know your energy, the strength that you know is self-control energy is low. That's why you lose control.
Okay.
So when you lose the control like that, or you're thinking about losing the control, you have to get into your virtues, who you are. You are a good person. You have to tell yourself, I'm a good person. I'm doing good things. And being out of control is not a good thing. You have to get into that dialogue about yourself, that you are a good person,
That's true.
right? You are a good person. So,
Yeah.
you know, doing some things that they are not good for yourself would be not a good thing. So the happy body stands for goodness. It's a metaphor of goodness in life. So if you compromise it in any way, you're out of control, but also you're doing something what is not good for yourself.
And it doesn't match my belief system.
It doesn't. But you know, for some reason, we draw on that believing system, on feeling system. We are doing all this talk, and the talk is connected. Like we talk about the talk that is not connected, but this talk connects us to the physical. Without the physical, this talk would not have much meaning at all.
Right.
But it is about the happy body. And it is about the challenge. It is about transparency. It is about the physical. It is about controlling yourself. It is about, you know, looking at your body as a beautiful thing that needs help. Looking at the body that is capable, and looking at the body and feeling that if you eat wrong food, you poison it in a way. You know, it's like and the body doesn't deserve that thing. And the body is something that is not really you. You have some kind of care for it. It's like it would be a horse, right? It's just you beat the horse down if you eat too much.
Yeah.
You beat the horse down. You put the wrong food inside. You poison that horse. And slowly we had to get that feeling in us about our body. And when we get more and more of it, then we are more powerful and our strength is stronger and stronger. And when we see and know that we do something wrong or we want something wrong, we can override it.
Well, and also at this time, so many of us are reaching for what we think are comfort measures. Overeating, overindulging in news as entertainment that we think will help us find an answer or give us some information, and when it really isn't, it's just repetitive. Drinking too much, you know, these are things that we think are going to make us feel better right now, and they don't.
Well, that's why it's important to recognize that that you're entertaining yourself.
Yeah.
And drinking is not only entertainment, because it's also wrongdoing. If you drink too much, if you pass, you know, one drink, you're already doing something wrong. You are going out of control.
Well, last night I had just the one drink and I felt so much better.
Yeah, one sometimes is really wonderful. It works actually, and it helps when we sometimes it can be very powerful tool to actually return to the strength.
Sometimes but only one.
Yeah, only one, right? One works. One works.
One works.
Yeah. So, the situation with the happy body and the possibility of engagement and control and improving yourself is fantastic, because it really helps us. As I say, the one standard first idea body weight, it's really hard, right? It's a hard choice to keep that standard, but that standard makes me so much better and makes my body so much better. One thing, one thing that is the most important in and research, the whole research shows that there's a one thing that contributes mostly to longevity. Anybody there can answer that? Think about that. What is it?
Exercise.
No. One thing, research over and over and over.
Happiness.
Point to only one thing.
Fasting, like the fast in between.
What is it?
Fasting.
Well, not exactly.
Less calories.
I would say,
Fewer calories. Fewer
would say-
calories.
Didn't understand.
I would say positive mental attitude.
No. You can have positive mental attitude and you can be extremely unhealthy and die young.
I think, is it moderation, Jerzy?
In moderation where?
Well, moderation in everything. You don't want to overdo your exercise. You don't want to eat too much. You don't want to drink too much. And therefore, being free of any addiction to anything.
Yeah, it's not enough. It's still around, but it's not enough. It's more transparent. It's more clear. One, really. 2 words, really.
Less
would say-
calories.
Yes, not less calories, but calorie restriction.
Calorie restriction, yeah.
CR, right? Calorie restriction. Being thin, it's a 40-50% more life. So over and over, research with rats, with monkeys, and everything, all different animals, points to the first most powerful way of living long and really have a quality of life. Controlling yourself when it comes to food and eating just, enough. Not only enough, but with a skinny body. It's not really big body, it's a skinny body. There is, of course, a place where the body is too skinny. And they try to find out, what happens when the rats start more beyond actually healthy skinny. And what happened? They got foraging and committed suicide on treadmills. So when you starve the man too much, that can be fatal. So there is a certain place, ideal body weight place, that is perfect for longevity. And that is the most powerful way of living long. Ideal body weight. So you can imagine that when that ideal body weight is, even in the happy body is really, really high, because the ideal body, because the happy body is also strong and powerful body, right? So you can be ideal body weight and very lean, because lean is important. But the whole thing about the research that was done on calorie restrictions is very clear. 40-50% living longer because of the calorie restriction. All the animals that ate too much lived short. And that, I don't know whether the quality of food was at stake, probably not here. That another research should be done. But definitely the next is, what do you think? What is the another element that helps us to live long?
Sleep. Getting enough sleep.
Yeah, probably, you know, that, but it was not really tested so much the sleep, how that would contribute, probably, yeah, but not really tested. What was it?
Good social networks.
No. Living long. All right, no free radicals. Free radicals food. As soon as the food is with free radicals, there's a chain reactions, contributes to inflammation, infection, and living short, die. Free radicals. Also, free radicals contribute to the impossibility of the body to repair its DNA. So free radicals, food that is not in free radicals, and avoid the processed food because that's all free radicals. So the more you burn food, the more you process food, the more you have free radicals. So if you think about the body and you think now about, not really even longevity, but if something causes living long, that would be also good for the day, right? It would be good to have it every day, daily. It would be good to eat every day good food, right? It would be good to think about the happy body, and the body that is like this horse that we need to feed, and that horse that needs certain only weight, cannot be too big. So it's that feeling that you have to wake up in yourself, that care for your body, and that care is the spiritual side of the happy body. Care for it. Care. I will not demand and beat it down. People, sometimes exhaust their body extremely, and they don't behave differently than the man who beat the horse down, right? Some people beat the body that way. So the body is compromised. The body is susceptible to illness, and easily can pick up, the flus and other things, and then deteriorate.
I remember when I heard I keep bringing this up, but when I heard your podcast with Tim Ferriss and you first talked about people that exercise a lot so that they can eat a lot, and
Right.
how unbalanced that was, because the body eventually can't keep up. You start to have injuries. And when you had us write about what I think hard choices, easy life, easy choices, hard life is for me, or what it represents in my life at this moment, is more of a tool that I can use daily so that I can kind of start to see where I'm at. Like, an example for me is today, wanting to eat bread. The fact that it's really weird. Before I would probably just go buy it, but now I have a space where I can hear myself say, I want bread. It's so, it seems really like silly, but just the fact that I can hear the thought gives me space to say, okay, what choice do I want to make regarding this need, and why is it there? It's like a way, it's like a cool tool to start to understand how food has been not used for nourishment, but used to cope with stress.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's you can medicate yourself with food or medicate yourself with exercise, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, like people.
Both.
Right. So, you know, the food is powerful, right? And it's medicine. So if you eat too much of it, you of course create a problem. Then you remember that I was saying about do what, you know, White Bear study, and that's that, you know, when you think about what you shouldn't do, then you will do it. So you let yourself think about bread as something we shouldn't have. So that was my point, the last point, to, you know, to focus on what you want. So when you get into the happy body, you focus on what you need there to organize the balance and how to create the balance. Not to think about what you shouldn't eat. There is no such thing in the happy body. The happy body points only to where it is something, right? Yeah. So it points to what you want and focus on that. That's it.
Yes.
That's your focus.
Yes, but I think my point was to say that I know what I want and I know what I want to eat, and I've been more successful, but every now and then it like creeps up. It's just
fatalist, you know, happens. You know, I had this cone that I used to eat in Peet's Coffee, and one day I just got into this free radicals thing, and then it was written there about the cancer, and said, forget about it, I'm not going to eat it, right? But it was the scone that I would eat every day. I would go to Peet's Coffee, I would have the scone, we would go for the workout. It was a strong habit built in.
Yeah.
So then we started, you know, not buying the scone. So usually Angela and I would share. And what was really hard to resist that scone. Yeah. And it was like really hard, you know, like the strength, you know, the strength was really at stake there. You know, like we had to really stand strong and not do that. It cost a lot of energy. And it was like that for about, I would say about 2 weeks. It started fading, right? And after 3 months, we forgot about that. There was cone there, right? But sometimes, even happens many, many years ago, sometimes we look where the scone is. So yeah, well, you know, our joy and the body, our believing system is complex here when it comes to what we are and what decides, and at this particular moment, what to eat and how much to eat. It's definitely it's really difficult for us to have transparency and have ideal body weight, and I know that. If I didn't know that it's good and it's important, I would never put it there. If I thought about writing something as entertainment and no transparency, that I would not write the Happy Body book with numbers and science and transparency, because I would know that it's inconvenient to people and not many people will really reach for it, because it takes hard choices to, you know, have the happy body. The whole human being has to change and match That's what we want. The happy body is nothing else than another fox in, in journalism. That's what is it. It's a hard choice to be a journalist because, it takes about 10, 20 years of following the facts, collecting them, and eventually become that journalist that is respected, that has integrity, and has virtues, and is praised for it. Well, it's just the same, the happy body for you. It says it is physical, it's measurable, it's about facts. It's about facts. You're 135 pounds, or you're 120, 115, 170. These are the facts. And the obesity is a fact, is the body fat percentage. It is not mean thing to say that somebody is obese. Obesity is just the body fat percentage. So you can be obese when you're 100 pounds, and you can be obese when you are 300 pounds. So body fat percentage. But sometimes people, use obesity as a mean really thing to say that something, that somebody is horrible, right? But it's not about that. It shouldn't be, right? But, sometimes people use it that way.
I like the story you shared yesterday about the guy you trained that was having an issue taking his kids to get donuts.
Right.
And you said, well, that's food for kids. And I'm like, oh, I kind of want to say that to myself. Like, that's for kids. You're an adult.
Yeah.
Make a better choice.
Well, the same to do with the drinking. Yeah. When people drink more, like 2 or 3, and that's for kids, because they behave like kids, like children. They eat 7 and 8 drinks. They're just children, like who drinks like that? So sometimes I joke, I ask a person, how old are you? The person says, 48. I said, no, you're not 48, you are 12. 4 plus 8 is 12. You behave like 12, you talk like 12, you do things like 12. It's like a joke, but we are really not grown, and we really need transparency. We really need a system that would help us to know that whatever we do contributes to improvement. More and more people that come to the Happy Body today, they want 2 things. They want a plan. They want a strategy to the end of their lives to have a healthy and good, system, the physical system. And they want the guarantee that will happen. So, okay. There's 2 things you have, really, right? With the Happy Body. Yeah. If you take it, it's transparent, it's measurable, you can go on, develop your independence, and have it in your life. It will happen to you. But as I said, you cannot really buy good people, and you cannot buy the Happy Body. If I could sell the Happy Body to people, like the Happy Body, and let's say it's $1 million, I would be a billionaire tomorrow. But if you tell people to actually go and do it, and spend 2-3 years actually on doing it, and it costs nothing, they will not do it. So definitely we need help with our way of thinking, and that discourse is for that reason. So I can open in you the feelings, the knowledge, the wisdoms to the trigger that will trigger, the right doing something. The trigger that will go and eat on what or will go and eat ice cream, or with a donut, right? It's for children. it's for children. It means like it's a metaphor for also people that they are behave like children. And you know, when you see it, just take it. They are just children, and they need help, and so on. And if you can help them, that would be great, right? So it's that way with a lot in our life. And you know, when we encounter a bully in a school, it's would be great to come out with something that bully would know that is doing something wrong, and would think that it is wrong, believe that is wrong, and would step up and stand and do something that is correcting the behavior and become, you know, somebody that is not bully anymore. Very, very difficult. It's just not something that is easy to do. It's a hard choice. You know, because the happy body creates the physical nature of becoming, and that becoming is a hard choice. That becoming is asking us to become, you know, to control ourselves and to gain that control and become virtuous when it comes to our bodies. If I didn't know that it is the hard choice, I would not teach classes like that, right? But these classes are important. These classes really, you know, that's the talk that is connected to the physical. So when people, you know, I remember there's someone, so that Taylor was you, yeah, Dick, right?
Yep.
You were talking about this, you know, self-control and talk and opinion, right? All these things should have at the end a point, the physical point. If they had the physical point, that would be a test whether they actually, you know, talking about something, right? Without the physical point, then what is it then? Right? We just, you know, talk about the world without really physical point. What's our physical point? Are we for something there? If we are really for saving the forests, well, then let's talk about, you know, why the forest is important for us, and then it has to end with some kind of fighting for that forest. That would be the way, you know, that it has to be something, organization or something to step in and do something for that forest. It has to be connected to the physical.
I guess what we go through is people become informed about something, and then they become concerned about something, and then they commit to something. And like the Happy Body and the whole program, I heard about it. It made me concerned about, you know, getting older and so on and so forth and being more healthy. And so I became involved. And there's steps that people go through. So in an opinion piece or an editorial, you may see something that concerns you, or first of all informs you, and then you become concerned about it, and then you act on it. But I've been thinking about I think about making hard choices. The hard choices that I'm concerned about, but I have difficulty committing to, is it's quite a change in overall lifestyle for me and my partner and friends, whoever I'm involved with, because I want to slow down and take my time with this process. And the being isolated here for 2 weeks was a good first few steps. And now we can go out but keep our social distancing. And so yesterday we were out shopping and so forth, but that interfered with my routine. So I missed the session yesterday, and although I did my exercises, but anyway, but you see where I'm going? It's a big step for a lot of people who have never thought about anything like that.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I understand. It's, vagueness is a problem in life. So that, usually whatever we talk about is vague and doesn't have any physical entity behind. When, the books are about inspiration and motivation and so on, I joke sometimes at the end, they should have a line. And now you're ready for the happy body. Go and do it, right?
Yeah.
Well, because that's when the real challenge happens, the real work begins. The real work begins when you get irritated and you're asked to do something and you get irritated and you don't want to do that. And that is the real work begins. When you get to the happy body and you're supposed to be 130 pounds, but you are 190, you say, there is no way to do that, right? It's just right away, boom.
Yeah.
The impulse is there. That is, asking you to be 130, and then how you respond to that. And how we respond to it, how we really go through it, how we use everything what we are, is, that is our response. And then working on everything, whatever we are, to actually help ourselves to have enough control to start actually making it happen for ourselves, overriding any negative impulses on our way or working with them. That is our journey. And that is our journey. And that is a meaningful journey. Mm-hmm. Of becoming a better person, more calm and self-control, and gaining some virtues on the way. And why? Because they think that the happy body is asking us for really uncomfortable things to do, and we get irritated because of it. And that is a good thing. That is presented the hard choice, means that the happy body is asking us to become better. And when we ask to become better in life, we hate that shit. We don't want that. We resist that. Mm-hmm. And how to develop the grace, how to develop the plasticity in the brain, that's what I'm dealing with in the last about 11 years, to create this plasticity, this gracefulness of the mind that can move and can adapt, adjust, accept, and give it enough time and adapt to the new level and move on and again and create this, chain reactions of constantly challenging the new levels of your possibility, the new levels, the harder and harder levels. And by that, you become stronger with the self-control and stronger with the delayed gratification. We are asked more and more for delayed gratification. And the happy body is not going to happen without.
Right.
So that's not something that's going to happen, like, like slavery in the Amazing Grace, right? It could be even today, but it came to time that people said, no, it's sick and it has to end. And when it happened, that thing in one brain, it got into another one, and they ended that. What an amazing, powerful thing, right?
Yeah.
Well, we try to do the same thing when it comes to the happy body. Help people to live the life without this entertainment and thinking that they are actually doing something. We get stuck in entertainment thinking that actually we are in journalism. So we definitely need help when it comes to not to waste our time, and then respond to the challenges in a positive way, in the, like fighters, you know, and then do what is challenge what is really hard and work with it, stay with it.
In the spirit of sharing and interaction, Jan, if you're still on, could you comment on what you were saying about the truth is that it takes 2 or 3 years, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing the Happy Buddy since like 1.5 years now, and I'm still like the first areas starting to get 5 out of 5 flexibility, but most of them, I mean, especially the Jersey squat, I'm like nowhere near to the end, and I haven't seen or heard of anyone except maybe Jersey who has achieved 5 out of 5 in flexibility or strength or speed in at all, let alone in 2 or 3 years.
Well, you have, you know, yeah, you have a lot of time. You know, I have to say that anything meaningful in life doesn't happen in a shorter period of time than 5 years. So you have to have at least 5 years or 10 years to create something meaningful in your life. If you don't have it, then you will never create. So, you know, patience is here important. You have the happy body. It's a skill of living. And when you enter it, then after 5 years, you will see big differences, right? You will know how you change for better. And then nothing after that will take you away from it. But after 2 months or half a year, 1 year, you can get tired of it and give up.
Yeah, definitely not happening. And I'm looking forward to what
Right.
happens in the future. It's a little self-experiment to see if what you say is true. So far, it's great. And thank you.
You're welcome. So homework. One, you need to do a sentence that hard choices beginning I feel. Then watch a movie. Click. Anybody saw the movie? Click. All right. So you see the movie. Click. Then answer the question, why do you have to fight for the happy body?
Click is the one with Adam Sandler, right?
Right, yeah.
We watched it.
Is there a source for these movies? We don't have Netflix or anything like that, so I haven't been able to watch any of them. But
I don't have any idea about that.
Yeah.
Well, here's what you can do. You can Google the movie, and right under the title, it will tell you many streaming options. You can pay to watch it one time on YouTube, or which usually is the case. So I would try all those different screening options. You will have to pay for the movie, usually $2.99 or $3.99.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that.
On Amazon and Apple, it's $2 or $3.
All right, so anybody would like to close? Anybody would like to say something?
I got a quote from the movie that I thought was really cool. That the guy, he said, to change things, one must first change the self. I thought that was really cool.
Yes, yeah, it was. Yeah, I remember that. Well, he chose that way, right? He was the person like that. That you know, a joke about that. It's not a joke. I think it was real about Gandhi. A woman came with her son and asked Gandhi to tell her son to stop eating sugar. And Gandhi said, well, come in 2 months. And she said, can you tell him right now? No, come in 2 months. So she came after 2 months and said, well, can you tell my sons to stop eating sugar? Gandhi looked at him and said, stop eating sugar. Now you can go. And the woman said, that's it? Yes, that's what you wanted. And she said, so if that's it, why you didn't tell him 2 months ago? And Gandhi said, 2 months ago, I was eating sugar. Okay.
That's a good finish.